welcome to the Paula Peralta Show. It's Paula Peralta. You already know what it is. We talk about things that we want to talk about with incredible people in the world. So thank you for being here. I'm joined today by someone who I've actually known for a long time, since I was a little baby hairdresser. And one of the things I love about this person, who I'm speaking about as if they're not here, is that they have this like creative zest for life that is always really inspiring. Like every time I talk to him, there's a new project or there's like some other creation or collaboration that is just really fun and really inspiring. And so I brought him here to talk to you about that. So please welcome Angus Mitchell.
Thank you,
Hello,
Paula, for that wonderful introduction.
Of course. Thank you for being here. There's more I could say, but I wanted to get you talking so it wasn't just me the whole time.
I didn't know that you were a little tiny hairdresser.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that I've ever been little tiny, but I haven't. I was at one point. I was this big, like learning how to cut an A-line bob.
I get that my whole career. I remember you when you were this big.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Right, because your dad is a little bit iconic, as are you, which is amazing. It's fine. The pups are. What do they want to play? Okay, so Angus, I know, and let's talk about this because people might not know. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and some of the businesses that you're creating in right now?
Oh my goodness. Well, I am Angus Mitchell, the son of Paul Mitchell,
yes.
and did you know that? Oh yes.
Dinero,
did you like
Dinero
that?
is riveted.
Shoot, I started doing hair in 1992.
Amazing.
That's just last year, and. I started off at a school called Vidal Sassoon. Mm-hmm. Fondly, all of my memories go to before starting Vidal Sassoon, I wanted to become an actor, which is funny because my dad wanted to become an actor. Before that, his mom said, you need to learn how to make a career, a living, in case acting doesn't work out for you. You have something to fall back on.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, keep going.
So my mother was an actress and her agent wanted me. My grandmother was a Filipino opera singer and gave voice lessons. I would mimic her when I was home from school. She grabbed me by my little ear and took me across the street, and I sang for the Metropolitan Opera Choir for 3 years.
What?
So I can read music. I was pretty much born on stage, and that's how I was popular in high school. That and Friesenschein, because it was the 80s and they had the mall bang. They always wanted the Friesenschein to be stronger. And so when I finished high school, I went through my first quarter of college, and I thought to myself, this is not working. It's only 1,600 hours in 10 months of a beauty school, and I dove into it, and it was the first time that something didn't come easily for me. So it was funny because now there was a challenge. I found myself needing to work on it, needing to master it. And at Sassoon's, let's just put it this way, they really didn't want me there because they knew I would eventually leave and I would take their valuable asset, which is their education, and make it into Paul Mitchell.
Yeah.
But I'm a glutton for punishment. I stayed with Sassoon's for about 4 years. I worked for them.
Wow.
Assisted in their salon in Beverly Hills and at the school in Santa Monica, until one day someone called me up and they said, Angus, what's your last name? I said, Mitchell. He said, right, you get yourself right back to your company. And if you thought that would have been an easy transition, it wasn't, because Paul Mitchell was not ready for that type of education.
Yeah.
And they weren't ready to have the ownership of the company come in, and they didn't know how to ask him to do things in the model room. So I'm proud to say that I was the one who kept the model room very clean and neat. You didn't need to ask me to sweep the floor or to pick up those half-empty Coke cans that are left around the model room.
Amazing. I will say your attention to detail is maybe the most precise of anyone I've ever met. Besides Sebastian, our producer, I think you two are two little peas in the pod, but I know your attention to detail is exquisite.
I hate seeing things across a room, and if it's not put in the right place, a little bit OCD. My mom's a Virgo, so I kind of got that. But yeah, so I'm just really proud of the persistence and where Paul Mitchell is today. Yeah. We are the leader in education and in the school system. Yeah. There is no more Sassoon education from the cosmetology standpoint, and really proud of our foundation.
I love that. Okay, so I want to kind of go back to talking about, you were at Sassoon for 4 years. You were in school there, and essentially, like, you were like, they didn't want me there.
Yeah.
But, like, what was it that kept you, like, nose to the grindstone, hustling? Like, what was that you were like, listen, I'm not leaving. I'm going to do this.
You know, Paula, I just got done sharing this. For me, I just had a drive. I had a passion. I wanted to do right by my late father who had passed. And then that was also my downfall because I carried that burden with me. So, but although along the way I had so many influential people come up and support me.
Of course.
Very lightly and beautifully, Vidal Sassoon came up behind me while I was trying to do my skateboard set on my doll head. And he said, and I couldn't see him because I had my head towards the wall in a corner, hoping that no one would see. And he said, wow, Angus, look at your hands. They're just like your father. And I turned around and there's Vidal. And if you ever saw the shaky technique, well, that's it. I got the shaky and the misty. It was all of that all at once.
It's a very high level technique, the shaky and the misty.
There was a lot of people that were working for Sassoons that were working with my dad back in the 60s and 70s that would walk through the school and stop and shake my hand and congratulate me and say, we're so proud of you. But my biggest compliment that I've had were the educators today telling me that they did everything they could to try to get me to quit. And how they were so proud because they thought I was at beauty school because I had to. They didn't know I was there because I wanted to.
Yeah.
And so getting knocked down and getting back up and doing it again is what I'm proud of my feats and my
Well, even hearing that, I'm like, because there's so many things that I've watched you create, even outside of the beauty industry. And I'm like, wow, the tenacity is like, you have to be so invested in order to create the way that you create.
Yeah.
And now hearing that story, we're like, no, I was in like a really hard situation. And I was like, I'm not giving up.
Yeah.
And then I think like as hairdressers, if you know, like it's not easy. Even just like whether it's hair cutting or hair color or styling, like it requires a level of commitment in order to be great at your craft that I think we don't recognize in ourselves enough how truly committed and talented we are to be able to be successful business owners, to be successful artists on a stage, to be educators, to connect with clients. Like all of that stuff requires a level of talent that I think we probably, even for ourselves, I think I don't even recognize in myself a lot of times how like potent and powerful I am in that. So I love hearing that story.
I think for me, and I think you could share it too, is we're so focused on being good, but not just good. We want to be great. Yeah. Right. We want to perfect our craft.
Totally.
And especially in education, right? We can kind of fake it behind the chair. You know, I'm just not to be.
No, it's true though.
But the difference is like no one's going to come back behind you and cross-check your work, right? Yeah. You're behind the chair and you're on a time limit and you're just making money. Yeah. Now you're in education and you're going to make sure that whatever you're doing on stage or on that doll head, if you're going to go walk to that future professional, that when you cross-check it, it has to match what you're doing. Totally. Right? Yeah. So I didn't learn how to have fun until I started working with my best friend, Robert Cromings. And for me, that was really the pinnacle of the change in my attitude, in my feeling. When you're working on, as you know, educating sometimes hands-on, that could be an hour class or hour and a half class. For me to be able to step up on stage and Robert tells you to do 5 haircuts in 30 minutes, and he's got 8. Right. Pushes you, right? Yeah. It's like you have an idea of what you're going to do and you've talked to the model, but then that changes when you're up there. But you still had to be mindful within the parameters of what you had that chat with her in. You know, since COVID, we haven't had those great hair shows as frequent, right? But now we're coming back and we're starting to do hair shows again. There was a movie called Sing. Do you remember that movie, Sing?
Love it.
Then there's a movie, Sing 2. Yep. So I went with my wife and my son Dylan to go watch it in the movie theater, and at the end I start sobbing a little. I got teary-eyed. I wasn't sobbing. Something flew in my eye. It's popcorn.
I got some butter in my eyeball.
That's right, because you know how we eat. We just throw it on our face, catch it in the air. And Mara said, "What's the matter? What are you sobbing about?" I said, "Well, you know, the koala's like Robert. He was putting the show together for
Yeah.
Vegas, and
Yeah.
through all adversity, he got the show through, and then they wanted to own the show. And I know Gathering is our Las Vegas show, but we're beginning to realize what's more important. Do we want to do a show for 5,000 people and have 5,000 people from all over the world and the US fly in to have a good time and not be sober during class and hands-on? Or do we want to be more impactful and be more dangerous and have more of a one-on-one and have smaller groups of people and have it be more of a serious conversation and classroom environment? So that's where we're at right now. We are being more wise with the investment of our customers so they get to have us one-on-one at their table during dinner too.
Totally. And I think that's like huge because even there's like that thread of just culture, because you talk about, coming from a more kind of rigid educational background, and then Robert being like, hey, let's have fun. Let's do this. Let's know what we know and honor our craft, but also let's have fun with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing that is so much of been my experience, is like the culture of like, yes, let's be the best and let's invite people to also be the best, and also let's have fun. Let's remember that this is fun and it is artistry and it is creativity and it's culture. And I actually really love that. And one of the things too, I know you have a lot of culture ambassadorship opportunities, and like as obviously a co-owner, but then also just like I know you're doing like these core trainings with Paul Mitchell.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about those? Like, what is core and like what's the importance of it?
Well, quite frankly, I think what's magical about how life's journey is, life's journey being COVID happened.
Yep.
And we are in our houses living in our little square boxes in Zoom.
Yeah.
And I would try and tiptoe because my wife, Mara, is a employee of JPMS, and she's a cultural ambassador of Paul Mitchell.
Yeah.
I would try to tiptoe past her, and she'd grab my little hand and say, "You're going to sit here with me." And of course, obviously, we thought it would be 6 weeks, and 6 weeks became 6 months, and then it became a year.
Yeah.
I never got so involved in my business as I ever had before, because as an artist, as you know, we fly to the people.
Right.
I was never really plugged into the business itself, and that's where things changed for me. Now I'm like a hybrid, and it's perfect combination. So going into core is something that Mara and her partner Jennifer had created. We became the Sonny and Cher show on Zoom, Mara and I, and everyone loved watching us because we have such a easiness light together.
Yeah.
And so she said, "What do you think about being our partner in Core?" So what I love about what Core does at JPMS is it pulls every department together and it sews them all together to show them that they're all working for one company, that they're all one.
Yep.
So someone from marketing, someone from our PIC, someone from their accounting, design, and all the way to sales. So they get to see the thread of where it starts, how it's created, then where it goes from that to how it's designed the bottle, and then where it goes from that to our sustainability person that we've hired, which we're really excited about, because in Europe there's a sustainability law. If you don't match that sustainability, then you can't say that you're sustainable. Right. So we can say that here, but we can't say that in Europe. Today we can say that all the way around the world.
Amazing.
So now we've continued to bind that thread, to sew that thread all the way around, and in our core we teach people to be vulnerable. So if you're able to be open and bring down your wall a bit for some people, which can be, scary because in different departments, right? Maybe you're not so artistic. Maybe you're more mathematic. Maybe you're more. And so we're able to get the best out of them to be able to see that we are one company and that we are a family. And the more vulnerable you are, the more creative you can be.
And I think one of the things, I've actually been through core, and one of the things that I actually loved are the conversations around like communication and conflict resolution. And really, like that thing of lowering your walls and barriers and being like, okay, listen, when this occurred, here's how I felt about it. Here's what I'd like to have happen, right? Instead of like people often going to like the emotion of like, you don't care about me, or
Right.
like it really is such a cool integration of like the culture of Paul Mitchell to have something like that where you're having actual tools so that when there is something that comes up, like you can be like, okay, I have core tools.
Yeah.
Like I can use these tools in any situation to like really communicate, and to have everyone speaking the same language culturally is it's really dynamic in the creation, because I have great relationships with people in other departments that I don't see often, but because we are speaking that same language, it's really easy to create with them.
Yeah. And to your point too, like most of these people, they don't see all of every department in one room.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's a magical part too. And to your other point, the powerful pause.
Yeah.
I always laugh because you girls are like, oh yeah, I just talked to, and I'm like, so how did they sound? Well, we texted, and I didn't like the tone of their text, and I'm like, did it have a tone? I didn't know text could have a tone.
It totally has a tone. It totally has a tone. Fight me on it. If you're watching, the text have tone.
Take a powerful pause before you react to those tones.
It's so true.
Anyway, but yeah, so we are really proud. We've been able to take Core to different salons.
Salons are begging for it.
Yeah, we've been able to do it for distributors. We've done it for Sheila Gomez, 1 hour and a half on stage between Mara and I.
Amazing.
So yeah, being able to see how it's able to shift shape and work, and we're able to make it work for different.
I love that. And one of the things that's really cool about Core is that it really celebrates the individual. Like, what do you love? Like, what is it? Who are you? And like, how does you being you actually contribute to the greater whole?
Yeah.
And I know that actually you have a lot of really amazing hobbies. You've got your hands in a lot of different things, and every time I talk to you, you're like, oh, I have this new project, or I'm doing this new thing. And so I want to peel back those layers a little bit, because I feel like there's things that people may not know about you. One of which is you are a collector of sorts.
Yes.
Do you want me to say it, or do you want to say it?
You can say it.
Okay, so you're a car collector.
Yes, I am.
And I'm going to say this because I'm one of those people that's like, yeah, like cars, it gets me from point A to point B. But knowing Angus has actually created this space where I'm like, wow, the joy of of choosing something, whatever it is. It could be car collection. It could be, I don't know, like collecting rocks on the beach, like whatever it is. Like the joy that you have in this process is so amazing. And I actually want to talk a little bit about this because I think it's like, there's the first level where it's like, yeah, like you have a lot of cars, but then when you actually peel back the layers, you have like this garage where you work with and you collaborate with what is he, an engineer? Like, I don't know. He does some amazing stuff.
Well,
so like,
it's a deeper level, and every car stimulates another memory.
Yes.
In me.
I love that.
So his name is Noel, and he's my dream maker, is what I call him. And
even better than engineer.
Right? He does everything. He fabricates steel. He's a genius with electrical and with building motors, so engineer. And together we'll just sit down, and like hair, I get inspiration through architecture. I get inspiration through furniture. If you go through pictures on my phone, I'm walking down the street and I stop in a store and I'm taking pictures of the furry texture of a big armchair. Like, oh, Shirling, like lamb's wool chair. That's amazing. I'm into modern architecture. I'm into Spanish architecture. I'm into Italian. And so taking all of that and then looking at cars through different periods of time. I wanted to do a hair collection based off of 50s cars. And when I had introduced it to my team at the time, they said, Angus, that will never translate in Europe or Japan or Asia, because it was American muscle, or not muscle cars. It was American 50s cars. So I was inspired by the tail fins of Cadillacs.
Amazing.
Later on that year, Prada did a whole collection based off of 50s automobiles from that era. So they were doing, the clothes were 50s skirts that were flared out with tulle, with the bowling bags, and they were modeling on in these exerted gas stations in the desert.
Amazing.
The shoes had like little taillights at the back end of the high heels, and the tops of the shoes were embellished with like patent leather flames with different stones and stuff on them. And I was like, well, there we go. You know, everything can be, how do you say?
Like an inspiration.
Inspiration.
Yeah. And adapted
to your passion. So I just kind of did a deep dive deeper. When I was a little kid, Hot Wheels cars kind of gave me my little imaginary go away from whatever was going on. And a deck of cards, I'd set up the deck of cards and make a little city and drive my little cars around.
That's amazing.
And never thought in a million years that I would be in a place that I am today. So 30 cars deep. What I do with my friend Noel, and now we have another gentleman, his name is Joe, Joe Peck. We sit down, we fabricate and put tape on cars the same way that I look at hair, fabricate fenders to be wider, create that beautiful Coke bottle shape that cars maybe didn't have. If Harley Earl were alive today and he had the technology, what would he do to enhance it?
Amazing.
And so I got 5 different projects happening. I'd be happy to explore it with your viewers later on.
Totally.
Or we could do like a sneak peek.
For real.
And
that
see
would be
where
amazing.
it is now and then see when it's finished.
I would love that.
But it's like the raw metal and steel is, to me, is the most exciting part. Before the paint's on it.
Yeah.
When it looks like Frankenstein is really, really exciting.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what's so cool is that even, like, I know almost nothing about cars. And most of what I know, I learned in your garage, to be honest. Yeah. But like, what's really cool is that, you know, I feel like anytime we've walked by and I've been like, Angus, tell me about this one. And you're like, well, this one is from here. And this is why it's special. And this is how we, you know, modified it. Or here's how I got it. Or this is who I got it from. And I think it's so cool that, like, the passion just, like, seeps into every corner, every fender, every wheel. Like, it's really amazing and actually inspiring to watch you be so excited to navigate a new project. Like, I think the last time, I don't know if this car's done now, but the last time I was there, there was like a one that had like, it would shoot fire out the back of.
Oh, machine guns.
Machine guns.
Yes, literally you push a button and it'll come out the back tail lights. So those people that are tailgating you and you really get pissed off and you're at a stop sign, you push the button, these little actuators come out and it looks like machine gun heads. You push a button and you hear a rat-tat-tat and it shoots flames. I'm going to get arrested.
I know. I was like, is that street legal? Like, can you actually try? Oh, I was like, I don't know. I'm like, that would be me driving that car being like, listen, they were riding my ass. So I just was like, that's so funny. What was like, do you remember the very first car that you got that was like a collector? I don't really know what determines something being a collector or not.
Well, the very first car that I invested in was when I was working at Sassoon's. Of course, my father provided for me that I wouldn't have to live off of what I was making, so I got to save whatever I was making. And Sassoon's was minimum wage, so $2.75 an hour at the time.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I got some great stories for you with that. But you know, they would say, we don't pay you $2.75 an hour to stand around and do nothing. I said, I've done everything, sir. And they grabbed me and put me in the front of the reception, gave me a little Tupperware of soapy water and a nail brush, told me to scrub the grout.
No.
And you know me, I like saying hi to people, and I'm dancing to like the music. People are coming in to get their appointment, and after an hour later, the salon, what do you call them?
Like the reservationist?
Yeah, manager.
Oh, okay.
Came up and grabbed me by my shoulders and shook me. He says, "What is it with you? Why are you always happy?" And I said, "Because I'm like Cinderella. There's a light at my tunnel. I'm not worried." But so that money I saved up, I bought a 1964 Cadillac. And I don't know how I was able to keep it because in life's journey, things change.
Yeah.
But from 1994, 95 up until 10 years ago is when I restored that car. And to me, that was my first restoration and my favorite car. So when people say, what's your favorite? It's my 64 Caddy. My second favorite is my dad's homage car to him. A 65 Mustang, but it's his motor that was in his car.
Wow.
So I have his signature embossed on the valve cover, Paul Mitchell on the brake calipers.
Yep. I think I've seen that one actually. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's in the new Colorways video.
Amazing. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It is. That's right. I didn't even put two and two together there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so amazing. How fun. So like so I know like we've got the car collection and I know that there's a lot of other things, but like what's the thing that makes you say like, yes, I want to do that, or yes, I want to like jump in, or like is there something that like, is it like sort of just like you have an intuition, or are you just like, no, this actually makes me really happy, so I just want to choose it? Like what is that thing?
No one's asked me that question before. I mean, obviously, I have to have a passion for it, right?
Yeah.
It has to ignite some kind of electricity in me, and I'm a very visual person, and I'm also a very tactile person.
Yeah.
It's funny, my son. That's really to me the most exciting part of my life's journey at the moment. But it's funny watching him because if he puts on a shirt that I'm like, can you please wear this? I don't like the tag's itching me. I'm like, oh. Mara's like, you see where he gets it from? The tactile part, it's everything from the seat that you sit in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And like these beautiful vintage chairs. Like, I love this vintage chair. And how it kind of goes from a different, you can feel the tapestry and then into the velvet onto it. It's just something that I go, oh, wouldn't that be amazing as an interior of a car? So I'm doing a 190 SL Mercedes, but I cut it into 4 pieces. I lengthened it and I widened
one does.
and I put it on top of a relatively new Mercedes SL 500 AMG. So basically, it's a new car that I took the body off and I put an old body and modified the body to fit over a car that was never supposed to fit. Now I need to make the interior look, or you have that vintage feel.
Yeah.
That it still has this modern dashboard. So we're in the middle of creating that. So what's the material going to be? And I said, oh, I got this idea. Chanel. Don't you love that
Amazing.
checkered Chanel?
The
quilting.
Yeah.
And then if you can imagine having that as a car seat. So as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, this would be an amazing car seat. Like to have the different patterns that you're able to sit and like when you're driving, you're got something on your back, or I mean, it's that kind of thing that excites me.
I love that. And I think and the reason I asked that question is because I think so often we just like get so caught up in the grind and the hustle, and we don't find the things that actually bring us joy.
Yeah.
Like we don't stop to be like, what brings me joy? And we think like, oh, when I have this much money, or oh, when I've achieved this point in my career, or oh, when I have, whatever the target is, right? Like we hold off on the enjoyment. And I love that you love my vintage chairs.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, like some people would be like, I don't know, this old thing, like, right. Yeah. And I think it's that perspective. And that's why I asked you that question, is because that perspective is really powerful to be like, what's the thing that is actually just fun for you? You don't have to tell, like, no one has to get it.
Yeah.
No one has to understand why that's your passion or why that's fun for you. But that's the thing that allows you to show up in the world and be so happy and to be able to scrub the grout on the floors and still have a smile on your face because you're just like, yeah, but this isn't the definition of me. There's all these other things that I actually love that like really fire me up and get me revved up and get excited to
and
live.
That's the journey that also creates us, right?
Totally.
So as many highs as I've had, I think I've had double the falls.
Yeah.
And and I'm for me, what makes me proud is I was able to climb back up. Sometimes I would have to climb back up even higher and further to be able to establish what I had lost.
Yeah.
But I always kept my chin up, and I never brought negativity.
Yeah.
And I never brought the baggage with me. And I think that's the key to who I am today and to my happiness today.
I love that. Do you feel like, was that something that was always just like inherent to who you were? Or do you like, did you have people around you? Was there like something that you went to, whether it was like a practice or like a book that you read that was like, okay, this could be like the worst thing ever, but I'm going to like keep my chin up and keep going?
I would like to say it was inherent. I know a large part of it was my father. I know a large part of it was him. Because he had experienced a lot of pitfalls himself before he had created Paul Mitchell. In the beginning, you might not know, but there was a shampoo line called PM. And shampoo number 1 was called Tea and Lemon. Very hippie-esque. And the conditioner was called Dream Cream. And then,
I did not know this.
You didn't know that?
No.
So the PM obviously is Paul Mitchell.
Yeah.
And the investor was in New York. My dad was in Hawaii. Then the guy swindled my dad's money, and all he had was a few $100s left. And that's when John Paul had said, hey, come on, partner or friend, why don't we give this one last go? I believe in you, Paul. And they had a investor. They were ready to go, and as you know, the story goes, he pulled out last minute, and together combined money was $700. The reason why the bottle was black and white is because it was the cheapest way that they could print it, and off they went, and here we are today.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea about PM.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm sure there's probably people that do. That's wild.
Yeah.
And I love that you're, I mean, again, going back to like the tenacity of just like choosing the things that you know are going to create the future that you want, and knowing that, like, I mean, we all make mistakes and have pitfalls and things like that. I have a friend that says, I've made more bad choices than people have made choices.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like, but he doesn't make himself wrong for it. He's just like, no, I just kept choosing and I kept creating and I kept moving forward on the things that like matched the energy of the future that I actually wanted to create. So I love that. Okay. So I know so you've got the cars, you're doing that, you're collecting. I know you just launched a special project.
I did.
I don't know do a lot of people know about this?
No, because we just launched recently, about maybe 3 or 4 months ago. They're called Bugatti Eyewear. I had the licensing for these beautiful frames.
So beautiful.
My friend Robert said I look like Elvis just bought a motorcycle. They are so light.
They are. I tried them on before we started.
So I have had these for the past maybe 4 months, and I've been traveling a lot lately. And you know how it is when you have sunglasses, you put them in your pocket, or you got your backpack, you put it in the small pocket, and then you put it on your face, take it off your face, and all of a sudden the arm falls off because the screw backed out. Or the nose pads have like squished, and all of a sudden it's like sitting like this. Yeah. They still fit right.
They look amazing.
Normal, right? They look like
they're so good.
Like they just put it on my face the first time.
So okay, and I'm totally ignorant about this kinds of things. So like the Bugatti thing.
Yes.
Is it because Bugatti's a car?
Yes,
right?
it is. So
okay. Do you have a Bugatti?
Auto inspired. No, I do now. They're called sunglasses. These are the only ones I can afford. Those Bugattis are too expensive, and I wouldn't know how to insure them. These I can insure because I will keep them insured in my pocket. But what I do love is my partner, Larry Sands, and his 2 employees that have been with him for over 30 to 35 years plus, Ali and Sasha. Larry Sands started and created Chrome Hearts Eyewear. He also did Matsuda, Chambala, and a handful of other glasses. He had created the look for Karl Lagerfeld. Elton John he had created glasses for. So this guy's been in the business forever.
Wow.
He's actually created the eyewear store called Optical of Aspen. And then he had sold it, and he's been retired. And as he was retired, he was kind of thinking, I'm too young to retire in his heart. And he opened up a store in Orange County, and we had been friends a long time ago, but hadn't seen him in forever. So during COVID, finally when the stores opened up, I was like, I'm gonna go to the Fashion Island Mall down in Orange County, and I saw the store. I walked in, and lo and behold, there's Larry's face on a poster, and I went, oh my God, my longtime friend. Long story short, he said, listen, I'm going to come out of retirement and do something for my 2 wonderful friends, Ali and Sasha. Would you like to be a part of it? Because we like your attention to detail. We like your fashion. Keep in mind, Larry is really good friends with JP. They were best friends in the 70s.
Small world.
And they look exactly alike. They both have that gorgeous long white beard and long hair, and they're both good-looking men. Yeah. Good-looking men. And this guy is just fantastic. He's just like, his eye, obviously, you know Chrome Hearts. Yeah. His eye and attention to detail and the materials. So in order for us to get the Bugatti licensing, they were very adamant. They'd had them before, and then they discontinued them because they were cheap frames. They really wanted these frames to represent what the car is today. Yeah. So we had to make sure that all of the materials that we use in these glasses, they use in those cars.
Oh, that's so cool.
Titanium.
Yeah.
carbon fiber. Yes, there is gold in Bugattis. and,
Amazing.
and very high-end special like ebony woods. So
That's wild.
we are
They're
just
so good.
excited about it. And I was just in Cannes, and I walked
That's
them down
nice.
the red carpet in Cannes. I was making sure that the glasses got all of the media's attention, and then they wanted me to take it off because they wanted to see my eyes.
Well, I feel like now, some people get the sunglasses to match the car, so now I think you need the car to match the sunglasses.
No. I'm hoping the music industry and the sports, my favorite
Yes.
basketball players. I'm a big basketball fan.
Yeah.
Yes,
Clippers or Lakers?
I'm a Clippers. I know. I'm sorry, everyone out there, but it was my mom. So the story is, my mom had just beat cancer.
Yeah.
She had stage 3, and they said that she had 6 months to live, and she beat cancer. I said, Mom, I want you to do something that you've never done before. During her chemo and her hospital treatments, she would watch the NBA championships and playoffs.
Yep.
And she was big. At one time, she was screaming, and the nurses thought that she was screaming in pain. They ran inside the room, and they said, I'm screaming for, what was it, the Cavaliers. Because
so
she loved LeBron James until he moved and he became a Laker. Anyway, so I said, what would you like to do? And she said, I would love to have season tickets. And I said, for who? She said, the Clippers. I went, whew. I said, I can't afford season Laker tickets. And we have great seats, and we just enjoy rooting for the underdog.
I love that. I don't think I've actually. Oh no, I have been to a Lakers game. I have not been to a Clippers game though.
I'll
but
take
it's,
you.
Yeah.
Or you go with my mom.
Yeah. Right. Shout out to Jolena.
Oh, she'll love you.
No, that would be so fun. I think like, it's funny because obviously we're filming this in LA. If you guys didn't already know, we live in Los Angeles, and it's wild. People like go hard for like Lakers and Clippers.
Yeah.
Like basketball is, I mean, really all the sports, but basketball especially. Like people really rep the teams here.
Yeah.
Just such a funny. That's cool though. I didn't know that story behind the Clippers. I always wondered like, what is it like that makes someone a fan? But I think like you have a really cool story.
Well, I'm always the one that roots for the one that's losing. So when it's football season,
You're always rooting for the underdog.
well, you know why?
Why?
Because I'm rooting the whole time.
Okay.
So if I'm
okay.
watching a football game and the one team is ahead, then I stop rooting for the team that's ahead. I start rooting for the one that's losing. And then when the one that's losing gets ahead, then I'm rooting for the one that's losing.
You just want to see everyone win.
I just want to see everyone win. Well, I just want to cheer.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I'm like,
got it.
yeah. And then and they start losing. I go, oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not probably your favorite person to invite to a game.
I know. What are they like? You're like a waffler. They're like, pick a team. Well, you did. You picked the Clippers.
I did. Thanks,
Yeah,
Mom.
there you go. Yeah, that's so cute. I love that. So, what else do you have coming up that you're excited about? I know you have some travel that you're about to hit the road again. You've been traveling a lot because getting you on the podcast was your assistant is a very smart woman.
This is a very different year for us. Obviously, we've all experienced not being able to travel, and I'm sure a lot of us probably started traveling last year. But for me, this year, we were invited to a lot of special events. So we got to go to Milan for Men's Fashion Week. We were invited to.
Amazing.
We were invited to go to Cannes, which I'd never been to before.
How was it?
Amazing.
Yeah.
We went to a movie premiere opening, got to walk the red carpet, and that was exciting. Never been to the south of France, so we got to enjoy Saint-Tropez.
Gorgeous.
But I also have a son that I share 50-50 custody with, and I do
Yes.
everything I can to not miss my custodial time.
Yeah.
So the 50-50 kind of helps because every other week I know I have 5 to 6 days available where I can go and do what I do, and I make sure that I'm home when I'm with him.
That's amazing.
He just turned 8.
Which I can't believe. I remember when he was born.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's been 8 years.
And then we're doing something really exciting with Paul Mitchell. We're doing PM Camp, something we've never done before.
Yep.
It's at, I believe, the end of August.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be very different and fun and exciting. We're excited to bring our customers in to be able, again, when I was talking about being able to have the one-on-one
Yep.
and having them get
Totally.
to know us. And
Yeah, for sure.
Robert's already making jokes about mosquito repellent. And just to let you know, my dad would tell me that the conditioner, Dream Cream, AKA, is really good for mosquito bites. When they're itch, you just put it on and
Yeah.
smack it around.
Because the conditioner, to be honest, it's one of my favorite leave-ins, especially for curly hair. And it also like doubles as like a body moisturizer.
Yes.
So it would make sense that the
And shave.
mosquitoes. Yeah, that also makes sense. I've never tried it, but
Well, now
It's a gift that
now
keeps on
that the
giving.
scruff thing's happening,
It's a vibe. Yeah, it's the trend.
Yeah.
I love it. That's so cool. Yeah, PM Camp's going to be amazing. And I think also too, like so much, I think we've seen a lot of change in the industry where people just want to be together. Like they just want to connect with other people and they want to be inspired. And sometimes they want to talk business, but sometimes they also just want to like restore and rejuvenate and be around like-minded people. Which speaking of, this podcast is sponsored by Vogaro. So we're going to do a little, as I'm choking. So I think one of the things, I was actually just in their head offices and they have an event coming up called Iconic 23, which is in San Diego, which I know you love. And it's really just a time there's people like Jeannie Mai, Tabitha Coffee, maybe we can get Angus Mitchell down there.
Yes.
But it's like a time for just beauty, fitness, makeup professionals, nail professionals to get together and just be inspired. There's like keynote talks and things like that. So if you guys are interested, you can go to vagaro.com/pro.
I love Tabitha, by the way.
See, there you go. I actually met her last year. She was at Iconic 22 and I was there as a keynote speaker as well. So yeah, head to the website. We'll post all the links below and in the comments and you guys can check it out. But you can go to vagaro.com/pro/Paula and there's a link there for you to check it out. And
we love you, Vagara.
We love you. We love you, Vagaro. You keep my client. You make my client booking easy. You make it so that you automatically text my clients. I don't have to chase them down. There's reduced no shows, all that stuff. So I love it. It works for me. It's like having a personal assistant.
Nice.
In your pocket. So anyway, but I think like you make a really good point about just like bringing people together, and I think that's one of the things I've having known you over the years is that you're really committed to just like bringing people together. And is that something that you feel like, well, okay, let's talk about this because did you grow up in Hawaii?
No, New York till I was 10.
Okay.
And then I moved to Hawaii till I was 18.
Okay.
And then I call myself Hawaiian.
Yeah.
My heart's there.
Yeah.
But when I go to New York, you get the energy in your feet and
The
you
vibe.
suddenly walk like a New Yorker. Everything changes. But for real, I mean, to be honest, my heart belongs in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So.
I thought you were going to say it like front row at the Clippers, but
Well, that's for my mom. Thanks.
Totally.
Thanks, Paula. But no, I mean, yeah, my heart and the way that I live my life.
I get that. And I actually had the opportunity last year. We shot a campaign at the Aupui farm.
Yeah.
Which is this really it's a beautiful space. Like the energy of the Aupui farm itself is like incredible. The houses, what are the houses called? They're like the little wood houses that
They're
are on
little
the
octagon homes with all like glass walls.
They're almost like these cabanas, but I think there's a word for them, but I can't think of what they're right. Anyway.
That's what I was raised in. That was my father's dream. His dream back in 1983 was to build a sustainable farm. Mm-hmm. People in the 80s were like, "What are you doing? That's crazy." Gas was like not even $1 a gallon, or was it $1 a gallon at that time? And there was a lot of water, and we weren't in the crisis that we are in today. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he saw things, he was a visionary. Yeah, I think that's why he was so far ahead of his time, making sure that the focus was on the hairdresser, the education and their business, and helping hairdressers become better business people, not just adding another bottle of shampoo on the shelf to sell. Yeah. In the beginning, right, just 5 bottles, shampoo 1. Regular shampoo, 2, cleanser, the conditioner, leave-in conditioner, so you're not rinsing it out, in the shower, out, and out the door, sculpting lotion, and then soon to be sculpting foam. Yeah. Now it's very more diverse. But,
yeah, there's a lot.
But that was the foundation of it, and that's what allowed us to pay off our bills, and for him to create solar. So we caught our electricity from our sun. We dug a pond to catch our water. Mm-hmm. And then these little houses were very, very simple.
They're beautiful.
Yes, I was the one that planted the avapui.
Really?
Yes, I was. These hands, I got green thumbs. And when I would complain about a bad back, he would slap me on the back and say, "It makes me proud. Now I know I'm getting my $1.25 an hour's worth." So...
But it's like the Aupui farm is amazing, and I love what you talk about, like with the sustainability, and it is self-sustaining. Like I watched how like We process the ginger in order to create a lot of, like, we have a brand, Aupui Wild Ginger at Paul Mitchell, that is incredible. And it's so crazy to watch how all of that gets processed and grown, and how it is this, like, giving back to the land, like receiving from the land, giving back. And I think that sustainability story is really cool. And also, I know that you're really involved in, like, environmentalism and that kind of stuff in general, because you were, like, the EMAs, I know.
Yeah.
And you're, like, really well known in those circles. So can you talk a little bit about just, like, your commitment to the earth? I know growing up in Hawaii probably contributes a lot to that. But
Well, I mean, a lot of it for me, again, was being able to honor my father's wishes and dreams. So one of the pieces of property that we have, it had been overgrown when I had inherited a portion of my inheritance. I chose to take this property. It's got 365-foot waterfalls. It generates electricity by hydro. So it's taken me years, a decade, to get it to where it is today. But now it's 100% sustainable on its own. So we run the whole property, generators, everything by the hydro.
is that where we shot in Kona, right?
Yes.
It's
Hilo.
Hilos, yeah. That property is I don't know that I've ever been somewhere as beautiful as that.
Yes.
Like, the energy of it, the home itself, the waterfalls, like, it's stunning. I didn't know it was, like, fully like self-sustaining.
That's my happy place.
It's so beautiful, understandably.
And with the EMA, it's having people be inspired, getting like-minded people to get together and talk about making the world a better place, making it more sustainable, which is why another portion to why we hired a sustainability person within our company. I mean, we've even gone as far as composting in all of our offices, which I think it's important. It's made me look at things when I pick up a foil pack to rip and put into my drink. I'm like, what am I doing throwing this inside the trash? So with the EMAs, everything from transport to vehicles. I also helped produce a movie called Kiss the Ground, which was very much the way that I was raised.
Yeah.
On mulching and not tilling and turning the earth over to dry it out. Just keep the earth, and replant without turning the soil over.
Yeah.
It was magnificent that I had the opportunity to be one of the producers on it, because it just brought me back to my teenage upbringing on the Alpapui farm.
Yeah.
What else? Right now, one of the cars that John Paul had bought my dad, that's in my collection, is a 1959 Cadillac. And at the moment, we're very excited about electric cars.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone wants to be sustainable, and we all think that the best way to be sustainable is to have an electric car, but we have not found a way to recycle the batteries. And the lifespan on a battery on a car is 5 years. Then you had to replace the battery pack, and then where do these batteries go? I want to do something, build another car as an homage to my father in the way that he would look at it. I'm building a hydrogen motor. We're in the middle of looking and building a V12, which will have the equivalent of 800 horsepower.
So that just means really strong and really fast.
Yes,
right?
Strong and really fast. But it emits water. So hydrogen is a gas, not a liquid. Right. And it'll be filled in these gas tanks. And a 15, they don't measure it in gallons, but a 15-gallon tank is the equivalent of a 40-gallon tank of gasoline.
What?
Yes. So I'm really excited about, for me, I think the future is going to be a hybrid of hydrogen and electric. That's where I see the future.
Wow. Okay, wait, but didn't your dad build an electric car, right?
Electric cars.
Solar powered.
In the early 80s, so or mid 80s. So 86, 85, we were building electric cars with old battery packs, like the ones that fit in your old 65 Mustang, big heavy batteries. We drive them all over the farm. Didn't have a body on it. Just had like a wooden seat and like wooden pedals. That was shaped as your foot. It was very creative at the time.
Gosh.
But yes, then we built an electric car. It was the first electric car race across the continent from Darwin to Adelaide.
That's right.
And this car, I had asked John Paul, I said, can we please donate it to the Peterson?
Yeah, I've seen it there.
And that's where it sits today. So When they do show it, it says Paul Mitchell. What will they think of next? And that's the staging that they have for the car. But what was interesting about the car was it had a fixed wing. So like an airplane wing, when it's horizontal, creates lift, but when it's vertical, creates push. So it acted as a sail. So let's say you had a 15 to 20 mile per hour crosswind. You could shut off the motor and you're sailing on the wind. That was the idea. Like, who would have thought that a hairdresser and some hippie guys on top of I think they were all smoking a little something funny going, and then it's going to sail on the wind.
but on land.
And then it's going to run on electric batteries. Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
That's so cool. Okay, so is it called like a hydro-powered car?
No, that was
the one you're building. Going back to the one
hydrogen car.
A hydrogen car.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, not many places in the U.S. sell hydrogen. It's very popular on the West Coast because we like alternatives more on the West Coast.
Yeah.
But again, I believe that, like when you look at city buses, when it says city bus running on clean gas, because they're hydrogen powered buses. So the next time you see a public bus driving and it says clean gas, you'll now know that it's emitting water.
What will they think of next?
Yeah.
What will you think of next?
Well, that's what I love. Like working with the Environmental Association, we're always thinking and talking. And of course, the quick fix right now, electric, let's completely emit the CO2s. Let's get the rest of the world to catch up.
Totally.
But at the same time, we got to be mindful of where are we going to mine for lithium? Where's the lead and the acid going to go from these old batteries, and how are we going to dispose of them? We need to start thinking of what's next.
Yeah.
So as we're beginning to protect our planet, the next step will obviously be hydrogen, which means mechanics still have a job.
Yeah. Right.
Keep learning how to fix a combustion motor, because it won't emit anything. It will in the future emit water.
And I think
CO2.
you bring up such a good point, because a lot of people think, electric cars are better for the environment. And I think it is one of that things right now we're kind of choosing between like the best of a couple of options, right? But I think like you said, the lithium and the things that are required in order to make a battery like aren't always they're not environmentally friendly necessarily. So it's like you kind of have to pick your poison. So I love what you're adventuring and creating.
It's so exciting.
It's so exciting.
Yeah. I mean, at the
what
moment,
even made you think of that?
Well, I mean, it's Noelle and I. We're constantly talking and kicking ideas around.
Yeah.
And because of our concern of batteries, and I had said this at the EMA. It was funny. Toyota was there, and they had their table, and they had their Prius, and they were talking about. They also have a hydrogen car that they built. That's for the consumer. And I said, guys, I'm a car guy, but I'm not a big fan of your Prius. And you could just imagine all of the chairs nearly fell over. Oh, yeah, it did. I said, but because you guys haven't figured out a way to recycle the batteries. And the head of Toyota, the next time I saw them, said, thank you for having that conversation with us. Because after you had that conversation with us, we have now been working really hard at the Toyota Corporation, and they have a set date to when they will have batteries recycled and moving forward.
So they're now working on the technology to make
They're working
it recyclable.
on that technology right now. They're also working on that technology again of hydrogen. And the conversation that we have at the EMA again is that hybrid. So when you're looking at these big trucks, right? Tesla built a tractor trailer truck.
Yeah.
Do you know the weight of what that truck is all loaded up with batteries?
No.
Can you imagine all the broken roads?
Oh yeah.
The weight underneath on our freeways.
Yeah.
Already with the rains that we've had in California, it's pothole crazy on the freeways today.
Yeah.
We need to reduce the weight on these big semi truck. And if you can create a hydrogen and a electricity hybrid truck, you're reducing the weight of the truck, reducing the amount of destruction on the road. And
wow.
yeah, it's just food for thought. But that's in the future. Hopefully, within the next 10 years, we'll be right there.
Well, that was my next question. Is like, so what's next for Angus Mitchell? Like the next 5 years, 10 years? Like, what are where would you like to be?
My wife said I would be she said, wouldn't you like to be a funny little old man in Saint-Tropez?
Yeah.
Because we were in Saint-Tropez. It was so cute. There was this old dude, and he had his like fedora on, and he was chatting up all the girls coming in, and out of the restaurant. She said, that reminds me of you. I said, I don't know if I could be that, but
it also might be a little more than 10 years out.
that's true. Do you think so?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll have to be 70 something.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I'm like,
okay.
you've got a lot more years on you, Angus. Like, don't leave me yet.
Of course, for me, it's my dedication to our company, and first and foremost, my son, because that 50-50 custody part is when we do have him, Mara, who we've nicknamed Sunshine because that's just how she radiates, and he calls her Sunshine. We all call her Sunshine.
That's so cute.
We do everything with him and make sure that we get as much out of that for our hearts and for his. And then when he leaves us, then it's all hands on deck. What can we do for JPMS? So when it's core, when it's my influence through different collections, or the team doing the collections, and me getting to be involved and watch my team evolve, which they've been doing so well. I'm so proud of all of you.
Thank you, Angus.
And just giving, just lending my heart.
Yeah.
Lending my heart, because this company is so unique, and I think a lot of us probably forget how unique this company is. It is the largest privately held beauty care industry in the world. There's not one other company that doesn't have a board of directors and investors that are putting money in and pulling money out. Right? And as of now, John Paul and I, we have not taken one dividend in over a year. And we want to continue to reinvest. We just bought a building in Santa Monica as our academy. What I'm excited about that is we're going to build up, and we're going to have our corporate offices above our academy.
Amazing.
What does that mean? That means every time our employees come in, marketing, development, help me fill in.
All of them.
All of them. They have to walk through the salon.
Design, HR, like everybody.
So before, you could just imagine our other brands, they go to the corporate office, even us, our corporate office, they lost the communication with the salon. They had to call up Robert Chromian Salon and some of our other close partners to get their intel. But for us to have it in our building all at once, that is just incredible. So I'm really excited for our future investment there, our investment with this incredible man, Stephen Moody, who's iconic throughout the industry as probably, in my opinion, the best educator. He was my boss at Sassoon's when I first started in '92. And I just think it's so funny that in life's journey comes around full circle. I get to work side by side with him, and now I'm his boss, but I'm his biggest fan.
That's right. It's like, that's why you always got to be nice to people, because you might be working for them one day.
And so, I mean, the future is really, really bright. It's strong. What Michaeline, John Paul's daughter, she is the CEO of our company now, and her strength and her wisdom, she's not just a kid that was just given the keys to the palace. She's really smart. She's entrepreneurial. She's really taken the company to a new level. I think we are doing a refresh with Paul Mitchell. As you could probably already have seen, our avapui, we have changed. And do you want to know why? This is news to me. I just found out. It's because the black bottles, because when you try to recycle the black bottles, the machine that recycles does not read through black bottles. So we've changed it in the mindset to be more sustainable. That is why we changed the avapui brand. We have now also in the works changing the tea tree line. And again, sustainability being our focus. So the label is designed to fall off the bottle So then when it does go through the recycling, it's able to read through. The label is also recyclable. It teaches me a lot because now I do everything. Now when I'm in my house, I rinse everything, all the food containers. I rinse everything. I'll pull stuff out of the trash and rinse everything through. And then the most important one, and the one that we all kind of take a deep breath and go, is our Paul Mitchell, our black and white. We are also doing a refresh. And the reason, because I asked Michaeline, I said, okay. She said, I changed the logo. The logo is no longer restricted by the two lines. Paul in a lovely big font, the same font as Paul Mitchell, and Mitchell underneath it. I thought that was brilliant. When I first saw that, I thought, yes, that's right on. Now on billboards, we can see it nice and strong and proud. I think we've shown that.
Yeah, for sure.
And on the bottle, it looks fantastic. But then she did a market survey. She hired someone to come in and look at our bottles on the shelf with other product lines. And unfortunately, the black and white just disappeared. And when you talk to people, like when we did a core for a chain salon, and they're very big-hearted Paul Mitchell people, but they said our younger people don't know how to push it because they remember it as their moms or grandmas, which I resent, by the way, because I don't look like a grandpa. So I think this refresh really brings a lot of youth. Also very strategic. When you're in the shower, I don't know about you, Paula, but my eyes have started to gone a little funny. So when I'm trying to read in the shower, what is this? And we tried to fix it by changing the different color caps. It still doesn't work. We're going to be able to change the different categories by different colors. So with the different colors being more
recognizable
and jumping off the shelf. With our logo being more bold and prominent, I think it's just going to be exciting as it begins to roll out.
Totally.
I can't wait to see what type of people want to work for us with this new refresh. Sunshine, aka Mara, my love, was like, oh my gosh, we're so excited. What type of people are we going to attract? Educators with this new refresh, because we will become a more, in my opinion, attractable to our younger clientele.
Totally.
But we are wiser. So we're not just a new company that just came out a year ago or 2 years ago and we're cool for now.
Right.
We are 43 years wise. Our DNA is black and white.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's anytime there's a company that's willing to look at hey, this is what we've always done, but what else can we do? That's always going to be a company that's on the forefront. Whereas they always say that the downfall of a corporation is well, this is the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
And so I think even that ability to question and to have an owner that's backing and supporting those moves, I think is really, really powerful. And I'm excited to see what it creates. It's going to be amazing.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, so something you may not know about me is I actually love Crocs. I think they're super comfortable. I know people think they're ugly, but I actually love them. And so every guest on the podcast gets a pair of Crocs.
Nice.
So I try to choose the ones that I feel match people's vibe a little bit. And I think for you, we could go either way.
Okay.
Because you got your big colorful. I love that you're already taking your shoes off.
I'm taking my shoes off.
We need to get a Crocs cam for the next season. But
I am taking off my Paul Mitchell
which are amazing.
shoes.
I know. They're beautiful. That's our main camera, so make sure we get a good shot of those.
Okay. These are also sustainable, made from our Swiss distributor.
I love it.
The leather has been recycled, and I believe even the rubber was recycled from old tennis shoes.
They're really beautiful. They look so expensive and elevated. And
yeah, baby.
You look great.
My dad and I, when I was just a teenager, he would drive his convertible Mustang around Waikiki. He'd see a pretty girl walking by. He'd slow down and he'd say, "Can I give you a ride?" Of course, she'd see this gorgeous European man with this great accent and his son, so she'd feel safe. And so she'd sit in the middle and he'd say, "Just want you to know, he's AM, I'm PM. He's up all morning, but I'm up all night."
No.
Yes, that's how I did too. I was like, "Oh, Dad, oh."
It's like the dad, like the lines always. It's so good. It's such a good line though. Anyway, okay, so I know you spend a lot of time, like you just like to relax. You just came from an amazing experience. So I got you these very casual slides. They could be your house shoes. You could take them to
These look like Kanye.
I know, right? Listen, Crocs did it. So these are your Crocs. Let me give you both of them. You can they look. There you go.
All right.
I love it. So good. Crocs. So there you go. Now do you own any Crocs? No.
No.
Of course, yeah.
It's my first Croc.
There you go. That's your pair of Crocs. They look great on you, actually.
Thank you. Thank you, Paula.
Oh my gosh, you're welcome. Thanks for coming. It actually means a lot. I know you're very busy and you had to drive a bit to get in here, so I'm grateful for you. And I also just I have to tell you, I love the tenacity and just the joy and the wonder that you walk through the world with. Like, I always feel so loved and so celebrated, and it's really powerful. Like, there's this bright light that you are that is like such a gift to the world. So I'm grateful that I get to shine and bask in your rays of joy. So thank you for coming, and thanks for this conversation.
Thank you.
It's amazing. I love it.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yeah, thank you. If you guys like the Paula Peralta Show, if you like this episode, please share it, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, and also make sure that you comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Aloha.